Geiger Investments presents the Retirement Focus Academy with Kevin Geiger. There are many pieces to the modern retirement puzzle. This show talks about those pieces of retirement and the tools used to help the retired and soon to be retired toward their lifetime goals. Welcome. The Academy is on the air.
Welcome to the Retirement Focus Academy, powered by Geiger Investments and Kevin Geiger. I'm Mark Elliott. You can always find out more about Kevin, Lauren, and the team just by going to the website, geigerinvestments.com, G-E-I-G-E-R, geigerinvestments.com. And, of course, Kevin and Lauren started the non-for-profit Retirement Focus Academy. It's a great resource for anyone nearing retirement or already in retirement. And this is kind of you doing your own educational session, if you will. There's a lot of different workshops on different topics related to retirement. And there's no cost. There's on demand, there's in person. It's retirementfocusacademy.com. You can kind of pick and choose what you want to learn more about. A lot of different topics, all related to retirement. And you're planning for that purpose. Retirementfocusacademy.com. And of course, during the program, Kevin probably say something. You're like, well, I didn't know that. I'd like to know a little bit more. You can always call the team. They're here to help. They just don't know if they can help till they hear your situation. 843-375-8700. 843-375-8700. All right. Now, my grandparents, when they retired in the 70s, it was a different time. They had pensions from their work. They had Social Security. And they were pretty frugal people. They didn't spend a lot of money. And they weren't planning on being retired for 30 years either, I can tell you that. So they had high interest rate, but they had high inflation as well. But they could just ladder CDs and get 8, 10, 12, 15% because that was the time of high interest rates. But that also meant high inflation. Today's retirees don't have that opportunity because most don't have a pension. We certainly don't have high interest rates. We can just ladder CDs and we're good to go. It's a different challenge for us, I think, in creating income for me at 61, thinking about retirement compared to my grandparents. Income was not going to be their issue. So what would you say people today that are getting ready to retire or maybe already retired, are they more or less informed? Are they more or less prepared for retirement?
Well, definitely, first and foremost, I would say they're poor informed. I mean, why do I say that? Well, the information overload that we have out there, especially online, I think has caused a void in this industry like you wouldn't believe. I mean, when I started this industry over 2 decades ago, it was totally different, right? The internet was out there, but it was just not the place that everyone went for information and stuff. Well, now you go and you sit down and talk to someone about an idea and you click that in, type that little thing in online, and all of a sudden, bam, here comes good and bad, the ugly, the great. And then you get totally confused and you don't know where to go. And then what's the best course of action when you're totally confused? You do nothing, right? So it's like, and so it's scary because it's really causing people to take a back seat and say, I just don't want to approach this anymore because I'm just too confused and I'd rather do nothing than do anything approach. And it's just not the thing that we should be doing right now. Today is a totally different world, right? So like we just talked about, pensions are going away. The ones that still have some pension, going into retirement today, congratulations. You're probably one of the very few and you won a lottery ticket. Let's put it that way, right? But for the majority of us that are in the private sector, we're just not seeing the pensions out there. Companies are pushing you into their 401k types of plans to save for your own retirement. And if you've done it right and you've saved and decided I'm not going to have that Starbucks every day and put more money away for my retirement, and you've done the right things and you've made money, and now you go into retirement, you have to understand that this is the time when you need to start planning. You need to start understanding where you stand with everything and make sure you're putting the pieces in place, using every tool that is available out there for you. Understand that if you don't have a pension like our grandparents did, you need to make sure that you're putting a plan together that's going to basically fund your own personal pension account. Because let's face it, every time we have a market downturn, and for people that are sticking all the money into the stock market, for example, they're taking too much risk. And when that happens and their portfolio drops 50 to 60% every time we have a 2008 scenario, for example, you're going to have to make a lifestyle change. But if you did things right and use the tools that are available, that could completely alter how your retirement's going to go, especially when we have a downturn market. So there's things that need to be done. And if there's a lot of information out there on the internet that's confusing you, that's why we've created the Retirement Focus Academy, because we're providing the exact information you need. The information that's going to give you the guidance to push you through retirement, knowing that you're getting a credible source of information that is not just trying to push you into a product or things like that. It's giving you the information you need so you know that everything you read online is either true or false. It doesn't matter because you're going to get the right information from the academy that we put in place.
So here's the deal. Geiger Investments serves the Lowcountry, the Charleston area, Myrtle Beach, really the entire state of South Carolina. So that means there's a lot of people with a lot of different challenges. So everybody that comes in has their own situation that Kevin and Lauren and the team at Geiger Investments have to try to help them figure out how to put them in a better position, if possible, for their retirement. So when someone comes into your office, let's say they call today, 843-375-8700, and go, hey, Kevin, Lauren, I'd like a little help, a little guidance here. You guys have an income plan and investment strategies, tax-efficient strategies, legacy, estate planning, health care, long-term care, Medicare. How in the world do I do all of that? Well, Social Security also is a question mark that a lot of people have. Social Security Administration says people take Social Security the wrong way 70 to 80% of the time. Doesn't mean you're wrong at 62 or 70. Just means you didn't take it right for your situation. You were looking at Social Security in a bubble, not with everything else that is in your portfolio. So you didn't do it the right way that you should have. So Kevin and the team are here to help. So when they call 843-375-8700 and they come in, what are some of the top mistakes that you're seeing them make?
Well, one of them obviously was the Social Security, right? So Social Security planning, and you talked about Social Security comes out 70-80% of the people are doing it wrong. But guess what? Social Security is not going to tell you how to do it right. They tell you how to do it. You have to figure it out on your own.
Yeah, they just give you the options. Hey, if you take it at 62, you get this. You take it at 66, you get this. You take it at 70, you get this. You tell them the age, they'll tell you what you're going to get, right?
Yep, exactly. And so they're putting the burden on you to figure this stuff out. You don't have to figure this out on your own. In our office, we show you how to optimize this stuff. In our classes, we show you how to optimize your Social Security. But the other problem we're running into today, because the interest rates are at record lows and have been for a long time, people are taking too much risk with their investments. They're sticking all their money into the stock market. And I think last year, and I always talk about this on the show, I call last year like the California, the little one before the big one, earthquake kind of scenario. And last year was a good rude awakening for some people to realize that they were taking too much risk when they saw their money go down 30 to 40%, in a month period, like we saw with the pandemic last year, that this is the time you need to start realizing you're taking too much risk. Do you even know how much risk you're taking? We use a company called Riskalyze, an outside company that we use to score how your portfolio is right now, and the higher the score, the higher the risk. And so a lot of times we even show portfolios we do to kind of compare, reducing the risk, yet actually ends up performing better than what you probably are already doing on your own without even taking the risk. So the reality is you don't have to take so much risk in order to get a reward. It sounds silly, but that's the honest truth. There's ways of doing things to eliminate risk and have a better return going forward. And then we go into Medicare, right? So we do the Medicare show every time in the fall going through the winter, right? And we talk about open enrollment. Medicare is one of the things that we see people screw up on constantly, which is why we started Carolina Medicare, because we saw a need to make sure people were making the right decisions. I didn't set Carolina Medicare up to be like our primary business. It's an extension to Geiger Investments because I wanted to make sure that we were helping our clients make the right decisions when it comes to Medicare. And then, we talk about it before, we talk about the buckets, right? And everyone sticks all their money a lot of times in the stock market, and that's what they live on. That's what they pull on for retirement. You can't keep putting all your eggs into one basket. You could when you were working and you were putting all your money into 401k and then your checking and savings. Well, now you're in retirement. You need to diversify that bucket and spread that out in different areas. You got to make sure you have an income plan in place. And you've got to make sure that you have your investments set up properly so you're not risking everything going forward. And then you got to make sure you have a budget. This is the number one area that I would tell you when we sit down with people they don't have. We go, first thing we always ask, do you have a budget? Well, we kind of have an idea how much our expenses are. Well, how do you live in retirement on a fixed income and not have an idea how much you're spending on a monthly basis? It's not going back to your statements and saying, oh yeah, we spent this much. I can tell you, every time we've done that with people, I say, go figure out, last like 2 or 3 months, figure out what you've averaged. And a lot of times it blows their mind. They're spending more than they actually even thought they were spending. So make sure you get a budget thing put together. If you don't have a sheet, give us a buzz. We'll actually send you a sheet to actually help you put a budget together so you can kind of figure out where you are. And then it goes down to like RMDs, right? There's so many areas I can keep touching, right, Mark? So, RMDs, if you're taking too many RMDs out, because you have such a large traditional IRA, maybe it's time to start considering converting some of that into a Roth so you can lower your tax bracket, lower your Medicare penalty that you're going to get hit with, or you're already getting hit with going forward. and all that kind of stuff. And of course, we talk about income planning. The last and first and foremost important thing that I always say is you need to have an income plan. I've said this probably 4 times so far, but you need to have an income plan in place. You need to have that set up so you have a retirement income coming in, so no matter what the stock market does and all this other stuff, it's never going to affect your retirement going forward. So lots of things that you need to be thinking about, but if you don't know, you don't know, right? Mark, you always say that. So
yeah,
it's
you don't know, you don't know. And so here's the deal. It sounds to me like you should send me your budget form. Just email it to me, and then I'll try to figure out where my budget is. I'm 61. I'm supposed to know this. And I did it one time probably 5 years ago, and I was surprised when I got done. I'm like, well, I'm not as bad as I thought I was, except I didn't put groceries into the factor. I forgot about groceries. I guess I don't need to eat. That's probably a good thing, maybe.
You don't need to eat.
But, you think about it. That's really just kind of a base fundamental. I love to play golf. Well, typically when you get off your golf swing, it's because your balance isn't good, your setup is not good. It's not your swings changing so much, it's the balance and the rhythm of your swing that gets off, right? And so it's kind of the small things that typically lead into the big challenges. Kind of the same thing with just doing a budget. It's the fundamental. So when people call you, 843-375-8700, and come in like we were just talking about, they're not a client right away. I mean, there's a process to this. Can you really help them? What do they need? Are they on board with that? Those kind of things. There's a process to go through. So when somebody comes in for the first time, how long does it kind of take to get them, maybe to make some adjustments or get them on the right path?
Well, the first and foremost thing that we do in our office is first we listen, right? We listen to everything they have going on, understanding their situation. And from there, because we have so many years of experience, we know exactly how, I sit down with people and my mind's already, I'm like one of those hamsters, right? Just spinning on that wheel. And so I know when they're talking about things, I'm writing down areas I see of a problem. And then it goes into the education stage, right? We're all about education first, business second approach. I want to make sure that you fully understand what your problem is, fully understand how we're going to fix that problem, and then fully understand how we're going to implement that, right? So I always call it the military style, right? We break them down to build them back up, right? And that's what the military does, right? It's the same kind of philosophy, except we don't do boot camp and all that fun stuff.
You're not yelling and screaming at them.
No, we're not yelling and screaming at you. I promise that. But we are going to break you down and make sure that we're putting you on the path so you fully understand what you're supposed to be doing, what you think you're supposed to be doing. And some of the areas you might be on track, and we're like, you're on track with this stuff, and this stuff you're not. Now let's just break it back down. Let's break it down, start from scratch, right? We're going to rip that piece of paper off, whoosh, rip it off, get that pencil out, and now we're going to start writing this stuff down and building a plan. And why do I say pencil? Because every plan should always be written in pencil, because everything we put in the plan is going to change over the years. So we're going to have to make tweaks and changes. We're going to have to erase something or write something new in there, because life changes and everything goes forward with down that stuff. But the key thing at the end of the day is when we do this, now we're putting that light at the end of the tunnel. Now you're seeing a path to a successful retirement, because now you know what you're supposed to be doing. Now you have an action plan, and now you are going to be executing that plan to ensure that you're doing the things you're supposed to be doing in retirement. You don't have to go alone in retirement. That's the best part. You have our resources. This is why we started the Retirement Focus Academy, because we wanted to provide the resources to get you a jump start on the education. And then when you realize maybe it's time to sit down with a professional, this is when we at Geiger Investments can actually take this to the next step for you and pretty much put a plan together that's going to help you succeed through retirement. That's the key word, succeed. I want to see everyone succeed through retirement, and if we can provide those tools to do so, we're going to.
And obviously some of this, falls on your shoulders. You have to do your own due diligence, and that's certainly why Kevin and Lauren started just a few years ago the Retirement Focus Academy. retirementfocusacademy.com. Great resource, again, for anybody nearing retirement, in retirement. You want to learn more about different retirement topics, you certainly can go to the Retirement Focus Academy. There's no cost for this whatsoever. And if you take advantage and maybe you do all the workshops, there's still no obligation. Kevin and Lauren set this up to help you. And if you need a little bit more help, certainly you call them, but you may not. Maybe you don't. Maybe you are sharp enough that you can handle this yourself. But that's certainly one of the reasons they started the Retirement Focus Academy, to help you get a little bit better understanding and knowledge about the retirement world. You can always call the team at Geiger Investments. They are here to help. 843-375-8700. There's no cost for this. 843-375-8700. We're halfway through the program. We got a lot more to get to with Kevin Geiger of Geiger Investments. This is Retirement Focus Academy.
You know what you want to do in retirement, but do you know how to get there? Get the retirement planning information you need by joining Kevin Geiger of Geiger Investments for the Retirement Focus Academy. What's the best way for you to take Social Security? When can you sign up for Medicare, and what does it actually cover? What and is there a way to lower your tax bill? These and much more will be discussed. To enroll in an upcoming virtual Retirement Focus Academy course, visit retirementfocusacademy.com or call 843-790-9293. Plan today so you can do the things you've dreamt about doing in retirement. Sign up for the Retirement Focus Academy with Kevin Geiger of Geiger Investments at retirementfocusacademy.com or call 843-790-9293. Advisory services offered through Black Ridge Asset Management, LLC, a registered investment advisor. Securities offered through Peak Brokerage Services, LLC, member FINRA SIPC. Black Ridge Asset Management, LLC and Geiger Investments are separate and independent entities from Peak Brokerage Services, LLC. Our firm is not affiliated with the U.S. government.
You're listening to the Retirement Focus Academy with Kevin Geiger, powered by Geiger Investments. 843-375-8700.
Of course, you can always find out more about Kevin, Lauren, and the team just by going to their website of GeigerInvestments.com. You can certainly, we've been talking about the Retirement Focus Academy. You can check that out. 15 different workshops right now. There's more in the works. So you just check it out. You find out what you want to learn more about when it comes to your retirement. RetirementFocusAcademy.com. There's never a cost for this whatsoever. It's always free of charge. RetirementFocusAcademy.com. And, of course, if you'd like to chat with the team and go, hey, here's my situation. What do you think? What should I be doing? What do I need to tweak a little bit to put myself in a better position? 843-375-8700. 843-375-8700. And if I could, I'd like to go back to the Retirement Focus Academy a little bit. You started in this business back in 2000. So you're 21 years in, but yet you started the Retirement Focus Academy back in 2019. So was that over time, you and Lauren sitting down and talking with people going, wow, people don't really understand a lot of these moving parts of retirement. Wonder what we can do to help them. Is that kind of what brought out the Retirement Focus Academy?
Yeah, that's exactly right. So what I started realizing, and I noticed this for years, I'd say the last 5 or 6 years, I started seeing a trend. I started seeing people that were going to retirement that were so ill-advised and poorly informed because of the internet, unfortunately, that I felt that we needed to do something different. Because one of the things I'm passionate about is I love to help people. I've been doing this for 21 years. Could I retire tomorrow and just say I'm just going to go sit on the beach and enjoy life? Sure. But you know what? I can't. I want to be out there helping people, and this is why we created this non-for-profit Retirement Focus Academy. We don't charge anyone a dime to do this stuff because I want to make sure that we're out there helping our community. I wanted to help people that were going into retirement and going through retirement, be an extension to the retirement throughout the rest of their life to give them the resources they need. They don't have to become clients of Geiger Investment. That's the best part. You can utilize these tools because they're there, and then we're expanding that, right? So we have these on-demand classes we've been doing. We're getting ready to, doing these in-class stuff, which I love to do. I'm a big person getting in front of a crowd and talking. I love doing that kind of stuff and answering questions and doing stuff. Now we've expanded. We actually set up a YouTube channel. So not only do we post our radio stuff that's on there, but we're also starting to do these like whiteboard stuff where we're going to get on there, start talking about things and different topics. We have podcasts that are out there now. We're talking about stuff on Spotify, SoundCloud, you name it, everywhere. And we're finding every way we can expand our reach because it's not just about the low country. If I can help everyone in this entire country just by providing that resource out there, I'd love to do it. Is it coming at expense to me? Absolutely. But I love to be able to be out there to give people the information they need because I'm a firm believer that if we can't give them the right path, there's going to be too many people failing in retirement, and that's the last thing I want to see any one of you people do. So take advantage of this. It's out there for you.
RetirementFocusAcademy.com, and of course you can always call 843-375-8700. So when somebody calls, we said before, what's the kind of the top mistake you see? Well, it's Social Security. And Social Security Administration says it. 70 to 80% of us take it the wrong way for our situation. We're not wrong at 62 or wrong at 70. We're just not doing it the right way for our specific situation. So when somebody calls 843-375-8700 and says, hey, I want to talk with you, Kevin and Lauren, about my retirement, do you recommend them going to the Retirement Focus Academy first and maybe watching a class or two? How does that work?
So the way I usually do it, when people call in and say, I want to set an appointment up, I say, hey, can I make a suggestion for you? So first suggestion is, would you like to just, do one of our on-demand things? And the one we do is the retirement basics class, right? This is our first and like a core class. This is the one that's going to give you just the basic information. And because I always suggest they do this, because that way they get to see this before they get to come in. So then it kind of points out areas of concern they might not have realized is out there. And then we do a questionnaire. It's an online questionnaire that go through it takes about 10 minutes to do it. And I always say it's good to take the retirement basics class before this, because then it's going to point out areas that you might have some concerns about. And then you answer these questions and information. And from there, it's going to provide us the tools we need and the information we need so we can actually give you a better direction. So I always say the first time we meet is like the second meeting, because we talked on the phone. We got the information from the retirement basics, like you came to one of our classes, and then you've got the questionnaire you're getting done. And now we can be effective. Now we can figure out how we're going to approach whatever problems you might have, or maybe areas you didn't even realize is a problem, and making sure that we're putting that plan in place. Because at the end of the day, they don't just build a whole neighborhood without a plan, right? There's a blueprint. Well, retirement is about having a blueprint. And if you don't have one in place, and you don't have a written plan in place, period, how do you know you're going to be successful in retirement? How do you know you're going to have enough money in retirement? How do you know you're going to have the income in retirement? There's things that you need to understand, but the retirement basics class is probably the first and foremost that I always suggest. And then when people even become clients of ours and there's areas of concern, a lot of times we send them to these other classes saying, this might be good, because we do educate in our meetings, but sometimes I feel like in a class atmosphere, it actually helps even more, especially when you can sit on your couch or your desk at home and watch these things to learn the information you need. It's only going to help you absorb what you're supposed to be doing and how you're going to fix that problem and how you're going to take an action plan going forward.
So you're really about helping others, right? And get a little bit more knowledge about the retirement world, some of the challenges that might be out there for them. Do you work with companies that, their CEOs, for example, are like, hey, we really need to make sure that our employees that are getting closer to retirement have a better understanding of what's ahead for them, that those companies maybe send limos to pick you up so you can come chat with the team? Does that happen?
I would call it limos, but yeah. No, we're definitely getting phone calls a lot, and this has been one area that we've been approaching. And ironically, from the radio show and just catching our information, we're starting to get a lot of phone calls from the HR departments from medium to even larger size companies asking for us if we can come in as a retirement focus academy and just put on the retirement basics class for them, for example, or talk about if there's we did one up in Chicago, which was about pension buyouts. There's a company doing basically offering money to buy them out of pensions, and we came in there and ran a class talking about how they execute their options and what's the best course of action for them, and then offer them one-on-one opportunities to sit down with us just to basically give them the advice they need. We're not asking them to become clients, because it's never the way we do the Retirement Focus Academy. It's always about education. There's never going to be anyone trying to sell anything. We're just going to want to become an extension to your life through retirement and be that resource for you. And that's exactly how it works. So if you own a small, medium-sized, or even large-sized company you work for, and you feel that your employees that might be coming up for retirement and maybe need some of these resources, give us a call at Retirement Focus Academy. We'd love to come out free of charge. We're not going to charge a dime to do this, and provide those resources to your employees going forward, because I think that's going to really help them. It's going to make you look good, and it's going to help your employees make the right decisions as they're getting closer to retirement or even going into retirement going forward.
RetirementFocusAcademy.com. You can always go there. You can always call the team and say, hey, we'd love for you to come out and talk to our employees that are getting closer to retirement. 843-375-8700. Again, no cost, which is pretty amazing to me. 843-375-8700. I'm Mark Elliott. Kevin Geiger, of course, with Geiger Investments. This is Retirement Focus Academy, powered by Geiger Investments. Glad you're with us today. And, when you think about all the things you're doing with the Retirement Focus Academy, your companies, including Carolina Medicare with Geiger Investments, you got a lot of moving parts here. Are you seeing that there are some things that you think in the financial advisor world? Because we know, just like all car dealers, many, home furniture places or whatever, they're not all the same. They might work in the same area, but they all do business a little bit differently. Are you seeing, do you think maybe some financial advisors that may be missing the boat a little bit with where they're headed, and maybe they are a little bit more about themselves and you and Lauren certainly seem like you're all about your clients?
That's that you kind of hit the nail on the head, and that's the honest truth about this industry. One of the areas that I've seen that has really bugged me over the years is I've seen advisors kind of steer away from doing, I wouldn't call it in the best interest of the clients, because that's a bad way of looking at it, but looking at the way of doing what's right for your client, right? When you look at these other advisors out there, a lot of times you sit down with them, they're basically just kind of shoving you into one direction. They're just putting you into a portfolio because you just rolled over your 401k. Maybe they shove you into some annuity thing, but the reality is maybe you're just not getting the advice you need. How do you know for a fact that's the right plan for you? And we've had this. We've had people come in for second opinions all the time going, this is what they did with me, or this is what they're proposing. What do you think? And we always take a step back. We say, first and foremost, do you know what you're supposed to be doing through retirement? Do you have a plan? Do you have a budget? Do you have all these things in place? And a lot of times I go, no, they never talked about that stuff with us. Well, that's what we do differently in our office because we're passionate about helping people. I mean, I keep saying passion, but I am. I'm very passionate about doing what's right for the client. Because I believe at the end of the day, people that are served and people that are given the guidance they need, which is why we created the Retirement Focus Academy at no charge to anyone. I want to be able to become a resource to everybody because I think this is what needs to change in this industry. There's too much, about production, being the top producer, putting all these numbers on the board, and they kind of steer away from the idea of being what we're supposed to be. We're supposed to be the person that's out there to give guidance, provide the information that you need, and put you in the right plan that's going to be right for you, because not every plan fits every person. Everything we do in our office is custom to each client's needs because it's totally different. And that's the one area that bothers me the most of what's happened in this industry is it's just, one direction or the other direction. There's no in between. There's no hybrid approach, meaning we're using the investment world, the insurance world, using every available tool in that toolbox. They're just opening that one drawer and using that one drawer, where in our office we use every drawer we have and find the best resources and tools that we have to make sure that you're successful in retirement. Make sure that you're educated. Make sure that we're an extension to your life going forward. I love the idea that when we say, welcome to the Geiger investment family, you've now become a part of the Geiger family. That is the honest truth. That's how we feel about every one of our clients, which is why when we put on these events and we do these fun things, especially coming up after this pandemic's kind of wearing off, we love to do things. We love to go out and do fun stuff with our clients and give them a chance to meet other people that are also clients of ours, because every one of them have benefited, and we want to become a part of their life going forward.
So if you'd like to find out more about Kevin, Lauren, and the team at Geiger Investments, I always encourage you to check out their website, GEIGER, GeigerInvestments.com. We've talked plenty about the Retirement Focus Academy. There's a lot of different workshops. More are coming all the time. And again, there's no cost to you. It's always free of charge. It's your opportunity to do your own due diligence, really, when it comes to your retirement. RetirementFocusAcademy.com. Retirement Basics 101. Great place to start. RetirementFocusAcademy.com. And if you'd like to sit down with the team and talk about your specific situation, 843-375-8700. Again, no cost, no obligation, no pressure, no judgment. Kevin's probably the only one of us that's never made a mistake. 843-375-8700. Geiger Investments here to help, here to serve. 843-375-8700. Thanks for being with us this week, and we'll do it again next week, Kevin. Have a great week. Enjoyed it.
Sounds good, Mark, and take care of y'all.
Advisory services offered through Black Ridge Asset Management, LLC, a registered investment advisor. Securities are offered through Peak Brokerage Services, LLC, member FINRA and SIPC. Black Ridge Asset Management, LLC, and Geiger Investments are separate and independent entities from Peak Brokerage Services, LLC. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Any references to protection, safety, or lifetime income generally refer to fixed insurance products, never securities or investments. Insurance guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims-paying abilities of the issuing carrier. This radio show is intended for informational purposes only. It is not intended to be used as the sole basis for financial decisions, nor should it be construed as advice designed to meet the particular needs of an individual's situation. Black Ridge Asset Management, LLC is not permitted to offer, and no statement made during this show shall constitute tax or legal advice. Our firm is not affiliated with or endorsed by the U.S. government or any governmental agency. The information and opinions contained herein provided by third parties have been obtained from sources believed to be reliable, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed by Black Ridge Asset Management, LLC. This radio show is a paid placement.